I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my hands ached. The quiet hum of the engine was the only sound filling the empty space around me. My heartbeat was a frantic rhythm in my ears, and my stomach churned with a mixture of panic and guilt. The street lights illuminated the front of my house, where James was visible through the large living room window, laughing as he played with our children. Their giggles carried through the night, innocent and pure, unaware of the filth that clung to me. I had just come from another man's bed, my skin still carried the scent of his cologne, my lips still tingled from his kisses. My entire body felt like a crime scene, covered in evidence of my betrayal. What had I done? I placed my hand over my mouth, my breath coming out in ragged gasps. A sickening wave of regret washed over me, but it was too late. I had already crossed the line. The front door opened, and James stepped outside, searching the driveway. He probably wondered where I had been all evening. If he noticed the sweat on my brow, the slight tremble in my hands, the way I hesitated before stepping out of the car, he didn't say a word. Instead, he smiled at me. "Hey, babe. You're late," he said casually, walking toward me. I forced a smile. Yeah, I got caught up. Another lie. How many more could I tell before they all came crashing down? If someone had told me years ago that I would cheat on my husband, I would have laughed in their face. I had always believed in love, in loyalty, in the promises we made at the altar. James and I had been together for 10 years. We built a home, started a family, and shared countless moments that should have been enough. He was a good man, the kind of husband most women dream of. He worked hard, provided for us, and never once gave me a reason to doubt his love. But over time, something changed. It wasn't a single moment that pushed me into another man's arms. It was a slow, creeping emptiness that settled in my chest. The routine of marriage became suffocating. Wake up, take care of the kids, clean, cook, sleep, repeat. James worked long hours, and when he came home, he was too exhausted to see that I was slipping away. I told myself I was just lonely. I told myself I wasn't looking for trouble. Then I met Nathan. He was a personal trainer at the gym I joined in an effort to rediscover myself. He was young, charming, and unpredictable. He made me feel alive in a way I hadn't in years. At first, it was harmless. A joke here, a flirtatious comment there. Then came the late-night texts, the lingering touches, the stolen moments in the back of his car. Until one day, I gave in completely, and that was the beginning of my downfall. When I stepped into the house that night, James greeted me with a kiss. His hands wrapped around my waist, pulling me close like he always did. "How was your workout?" he asked, his voice filled with genuine curiosity. My throat felt dry. It was good, a lie. I wasn't at the gym. I had been in a hotel room with Nathan, my body tangled with his, my wedding ring discarded on the nightstand. James smiled, oblivious. "I'm glad. You've been working really hard lately. I can see the difference." He was still proud of me, still trusted me, and I was betraying him in the worst way possible. "Go freshen up," he said. "Dinner's almost ready." I nodded quickly, hurrying upstairs to the bathroom. I turned on the shower, watching the steam rise as I peeled off my clothes. No amount of scrubbing could wash away the guilt. Lying became easier with time. At first, the weight of my secret was unbearable. But as the weeks passed, I learned how to fake smiles, how to slip into bed beside James without trembling from the memory of Nathan's hands on my skin. I told myself I was in control, that I could stop any time. But the problem with affairs is that they are like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. James started noticing the little things. "You're spending a lot of time at the gym," he said one evening, watching me from across the dinner table. I forced a laugh. "I just enjoy it. It helps me clear my mind," he nodded, but I could see the flicker of doubt in his eyes. I ignored it. I thought I was being careful. I thought I could keep this hidden forever. I was wrong. James never questioned me outright, but he started watching me differently. His hugs lingered a little longer, as if he was searching for something in me. His conversations became filled with unspoken questions. One night, as I climbed into bed, he turned to me with a strange look on his face. "You happy, Megan?" The question caught me off guard. My heart pounded. Of course, I said quickly. Why would you ask that? He hesitated. I don't know. You just seem distant. My stomach twisted. Was he onto me? I reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. I love you, James. Another lie, or maybe, the biggest lie of all was that I ever stopped loving him. I told myself I would stop, that I would walk away from Nathan and never look back. But when he texted me late one night, I need to see you, I was in my car before I could think twice. The affair wasn't just about sex. It was about the rush. The thrill of breaking the rules. The way Nathan made me feel wanted in a way I hadn't felt in years. I told myself this would be the last time, but last times never really are. The night my world fell apart, I came home to find James sitting in the living room, his face pale. Sit down, he said. I hesitated, then he turned his phone around, and I saw the pictures, me. Nathan. Kissing, my vision blurred, my body frozen in place. James' voice was raw, filled with betrayal. How long, Megan? I opened my mouth, but no words came. I had finally been caught. Silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. My chest tightened as I stared at the phone screen in James's hand. The pictures were undeniable, my lips on Nathan's, my body pressed against his in a way that shattered every vow I had made to my husband. James's face was void of emotion, but his eyes burned with a pain I had never seen before. How long, Megan? He repeated, his voice eerily calm. My throat was dry. My hands trembled. The words I wanted to say tangled on my tongue. My voice cracked. James, how long? His voice rose, his patience wearing thin. Tears pricked my eyes. A few months, I whispered. A sharp exhale left his lips as he turned away from me. His hands clenched into fists at his sides, his body stiff as if he were trying to hold himself together. You disgust me, he muttered, shaking his head. After everything we've been through, Megan, tears spilled down my cheeks. I didn't mean for this to happen, he let out a bitter laugh. That's what every cheater says. I stepped forward, reaching for him. James, please, just let me explain. He flinched away from my touch as if it burned him. Explain what? How you snuck around with him while I was working to provide for this family. How you kissed our children goodnight after being in another man's bed. His words cut through me like a blade. I made a mistake, I choked out. I love you, James. His eyes darkened. No, Megan. You don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't have done this. James stormed past me, grabbing his car keys. Where are you going? I asked, panic rising in my chest. Away from you. His voice was cold. James, please don't do this. He turned to face me, his jaw tight. You already did this, Megan, and with that, he walked out the door. The sound of the car engine roaring to life sent a fresh wave of dread through me. I had broken something that I wasn't sure could ever be repaired. I stood there in the living room, staring at the closed door, my whole body numb. My children were asleep upstairs, blissfully unaware that their mother had just shattered their family. A sob tore through my chest. What had I done? James didn't come home that night, or the next. When he finally returned, he barely looked at me. He moved through the house like a ghost, speaking only when necessary. The silence was unbearable. At night, I lay in bed alone, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of him sleeping in the guest room. I wanted to fix this, but how do you fix something after you've set it on fire? I tried talking to him. He ignored me. I tried cooking his favorite meals. He barely ate. I tried touching him. He pulled away. I was losing him, and I had no one to blame but myself. One night, after the kids were asleep, I found him in the living room, staring blankly at the TV. I took a deep breath. James, please, can we talk? He didn't look at me. About what? About us. About what happened? He let out a bitter chuckle. What's there to talk about? You cheated. You lied. And now, I don't even know who you are. Tears welled in my eyes. I still love you. He finally turned to face me. Then why did you do it, Megan? I swallowed hard. I don't know. I was lonely. I felt invisible. his expression twisted with pain. I was working for us, Megan. For our future. And you, he shook his head. You repaid me by sleeping with another man, I sobbed. I didn't mean to hurt you, but you did, he said, his voice breaking. And I don't think I can ever forgive you for it. James stopped wearing his wedding ring, he stopped coming home on time, and worst of all, I saw him texting someone late at night. I wanted to ask, but what right did I have? I had done this, I had opened the door for destruction, and now, I had to live with the consequences. One evening, James came home smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. I froze. Where were you? He looked me in the eyes. With someone who actually appreciates me. My breath hitched. You cheating on me? His jaw clenched. Isn't that what you did first? Tears streamed down my face. James, please. He shook his head. I don't owe you anything anymore, Megan. And with that, he walked away, leaving me to feel the exact same pain I had caused him. Days turned into weeks, and James became a stranger. Then one night, he dropped a bombshell. I want a divorce. The word sucked the air from my lungs. James, no, it's over, Megan, I sobbed. Please, I'll do anything. He stared at me, his eyes void of warmth. You already did enough, and just like that, my world shattered. James filed for divorce. He moved out. He refused to speak to me unless it was about the kids, Nathan. He ghosted me the moment he realized my marriage was truly over. I lost everything. And for what? A few stolen moments with a man who never really loved me. The weight of my choices crushed me every day. The regret. It was unbearable, because now, I knew, I had destroyed the one thing that truly mattered, and there was no going back.